There's a lot of talk about the market being down, a lot of talk about trade. How much of it is your fault down there in Washington?
Well, a lot of talk on trade coming out of Washington. I would say, David, it's a lot of Washington's fault. Look, there were some reports, including from Bloomberg, that Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin was going to announce on Friday a new CFIUS plan from the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, even going as far to suggest that there would be two tracks with regards to China and the rest of the world in terms of how foreign investment, particularly investment in the technology sector, would be utilized. But just within the last hour, Secretary Mnuchin calling those reports fake news. And pouring more cold water on this, but also providing even more uncertainty. He's tweeting, quote, on behalf of real Trump, the stories of investment are false, fake news. The leaker either doesn't exist or know the subject very well. Statement will be out, not specific to China, but to all countries that are trying to steal our technology. Look, that is expected on Friday. We're just ahead of that July 6th deadline in which tariffs up to $50 billion or $34 billion will be enacted, and all of this around the corner as even more $200 billion looms around the corner with the escalating tensions with the U.S. and China.
Right, Kevin, but this would be a major departure from the CFIUS process. We know that Congress has also been looking into overhauling that process in itself.
Yeah. They absolutely have, Sherry. And in fact, the Senate Banking Committee just advancing legislation out of the Republican-controlled committee to get to the Senate floor that would make it more difficult for President Trump to end CFIUS, this committee, which is really spearheaded by the Treasury Secretary and made up of various folks in the intelligence community and not too transparent, unlike some more public forums such as the Securities and Exchange Commission. So there's a lot of legislation and moving parts. The House of Representatives on the House Financial Services Committee also advancing CFIUS legislation, led, of course, by Chairman Jeb Hensarling. That's a bit more in line with what the president wants. There's so many moving parts in terms of how the president is using CFIUS. Very quickly, I would note, former President Obama used this ruling twice in his entire 8-year term. President Trump has already used it twice in just his first 2 years.